Wisdom, the final frontier to true knowledge. Welcome to Wisdom Trek, where our mission is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. Hello, my friend. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, your captain on our journey to increase wisdom and create a living legacy. Thank you for joining us today as we explore wisdom on our second millennium of podcast. This is day 1423 of our trek, and our focus on Friday is future technologies and societal advancements. So we call it Futuristic Fridays. My personality is one that I've always been very future-oriented. Since my childhood, I have yearned for the exploration and discovery of new technologies and advancements for the future. I grew up on the original Star Trek series, and even today, while I'm on my 64th revolution around the sun, I still dream of traveling in space. Each week we will explore rapidly converging technologies and advancements which will radically change our lives. At times, the topics may sound something like out of a science fiction novel. But each area that we will explore is already well on its way of becoming reality over the next couple of decades. To keep with our theme of Ask Gramps, I will put the weekly topics in the form of a question to get us on track. So this week's question is, Hey Gramps, what will the cities of the future be like? So today we want to explore smart cities. Last week on Futuristic Friday, we explored high-speed global connectivity, which is a delivery method for so many of the technological advances that we'll investigate. With the global pandemic still impacting the world, and when unrest seems to be nearly everywhere, you must understand that none of these issues will be long-lasting in the grand scheme of our world. Our world is in a disruptive mode, which will speed up the exponential technology that is changing our world today. I am using some of the information mentioned in Peter Diamandis' blog and his book, The Future is Faster Than You Think. And this is my starting point. We will do deeper dive into some of the technologies such as transportation separately. This week we will focus on cities themselves. Each week alone, an estimated 1.3 million people move into cities, driving urbanization on a non-stoppable scale. Advancements may slow somewhat during the pandemic, but not long-term. By 2040, about two-thirds of the world's population will be concentrated in urban centers. Over the decades ahead, nearly 90% of this urban population growth is predicted to flourish across Asia and Africa. As discussed last week, many of these areas are just starting to adopt high-speed global connectivity. Already, there are 1,000 smart city pilots under construction or in the final urban planning stages across the globe, driving forward countless visions of the future. As data becomes gold or currency for the 21st century, centralized databases and hyper-connected infrastructures will enable everything from sentient cities that respond to data inputs in real time to smart public services that revolutionize modern governance. I currently work for a company that is providing integral pieces of software that will drive this revolution. Connected countless industries such as real estate, energy, sensors and network, transportation, among others, tomorrow's cities pose no end of creative possibilities and stand to transform the human experience completely. Today's podcast will be a little bit longer since we are taking a high-level tour of today's cutting-edge urban enterprises involved in these three areas. The first is hyper-connected urban ecosystems that respond to your data. The second will be smart infrastructure and construction, and the third will be self-charging, what is referred to in the media many times as green cities. So let's dive in. First is smart cities that interact with your data. Any discussion of smart cities must also involve today's most indispensable asset, and that is data. It is already the gold of today and will be much more so in the future. As 5G connection speed, the Internet of Things, or as abbreviated IoT, with its linked devices, and sophisticated cities' artificial intelligence, or AIs, give birth to trillion sensor economies, low latencies will soon allow vehicles to talk to each other and infrastructure systems to self-correct. Even public transit may soon validate your identity with a mere glance in any direction, using facial recognition to charge you for individualized travel packages and distances. As explained by the Deloitte public sector leader, Clara Ma, real-time information serves as an eye to urban administration. In most cities today, data is fragmented across corporations, small to medium enterprises, public institutions, nonprofits, and personal databases with little standardization. Yet to identify and respond to urban trends, we need a way to aggregate multiple layers of data, spanning traffic flows, human movement, individual transactions, shifts in energy uses, security activity, and almost any significant component of contemporary economies. Only through real-time analysis of information flows can we leverage exponential technologies to automate public services, streamline transit, provide smarter security, optimize urban planning, and responsive infrastructure. Already, cutting-edge cities across the globe are building centralized data platforms to combine different standards and extract actionable insights from smart parking to waste management. One example of this is the city of Nanjing in China. With sensors installed in 10,000 taxis, 7,000 buses, and over 1 million private vehicles, the city aggregates daily data across both physical and virtual networks. After transmitting it to Nanjing's information center, experts can analyze traffic data, send smartphone updates to commuters, and ultimately create new traffic routes. And any of us who use our smartphones for a GPS unit realize that this real-time data information can be invaluable. Replacing the need for capital-intensive roads and public transit reconstruction, real-time data from physical transit networks allow governments to maximize the value of pre-existing assets, saving time and increasing productivity across millions of citizens. Beyond traffic routing, proliferating sensors and urban IoT are giving rise to real-time monitoring of any infrastructural system. Another example is Italy's major rail operator Tentanalia, which has now installed sensors in all of its trains, deriving real-time status updates for each train's mechanical condition. Now capable of calculating maintenance predictions in advance of system failure, transit disruptions are becoming a thing of the past. Even in the city of Los Angeles, they have embedded sensors in 45 miles worth of LEDs, replacing previous streetlights. The minute one streetlight bulb malfunctions or runs low, it can be fixed nearly immediately, forming part of a proactive city model that detects glitches before they occur. Another China city, Hangzhou, home to e-commerce giant Alibaba, has now launched a City Brain project, aiming to build out one of the most data-responsive cities on the planet. With cameras and other sensors installed across the entire city, a centralized AI hub processes data on everything from road conditions to weather data, to vehicular collisions to citizens' health emergencies. Overseeing a population of nearly 8 million residents, Hangzhou City Brain manages traffic signals at 128 intersections while coordinating over 1,000 road signals simultaneously. City Brain also tracks ambulances en route and clears their paths to the hospital without risk of collision. It directs traffic police to accidents at record rates and even assists city officials in expediting decision-making. Resulting is no more wasted time at a red light where obviously no cross-traffic or pedestrians are at. Wouldn't that be nice? Already, City Brain has cut ambulance and commuter traveling by half. As reported by China's first AI partner traffic policeman, Zheng Yaihang, the City Brain can detect accidents within a second, allowing police to arrive at any site within 5 minutes, across an urban area of over 3,000 square miles. Beyond oversight of roads, traffic flows, collisions, and the like, converging sensors and AI are now being used to monitor crowds and analyze human movement. I realize that for some of us in the United States, this makes us a bit uncomfortable. But it will happen, and much good can come from it. Companies like SenseTime now offer software to public bureaus that can not only identify live faces, individual gates, and car license plates, but even monitor crowd movement to detect unsafe pedestrian concentrations. And we're already seeing that the pandemic will accelerate this process. Some researchers have even suggested the use of machine learning to predict population-level disease spread through crowd surveillance data, thereby building actionable analysis from social media data, mass geolocation, and urban sensors. The data models used during this pandemic is a product of this. Yet aside from self-monitoring cities and urban AI brains, what if infrastructure could actually heal itself on demand? Forget sensors, connectivity, and AI. Enter material science. Listen to this next segment for some very interesting and exciting projects. The next area we're going to look at is self-healing infrastructure. The U.S. Department of Transportation estimates a $542.6 billion backlog needed for the U.S. infrastructure repair alone. As I've often said, the world's most expensive problems are the world's most profitable opportunities. So let's dig into self-healing construction materials. The first up is concrete. And you may be thinking, there's no such thing. But indeed there is. To multiply longevity on bridges, roads, and any number of infrastructural fortifications, engineers at Delft University have developed a prototype of bioconcrete that can repair its own cracks. Mixed with calcium lactate, the key ingredients of this novel bioconcrete are tiny capsules of limestone-producing bacteria distributed throughout the concrete structure. Only when the concrete cracks, letting in air and moisture, does the bacteria awaken. You might think of a simple seed like this. It may lay dormant on a shelf for years until it's planted and then watered. Like clockwork, the bacteria begins feeding on its surrounding calcium lactate as it produces a natural limestone sealant that fills in cracks in a mere 3 weeks, long before small crevices can even threaten structural integrity. As head researcher Henk Jonker explains, what makes the limestone-producing bacteria so special is that it can survive in concrete more than 200 years and come into play when concrete is damaged. If cracks appear as a result of pressure on the concrete will heal these cracks itself. Yet other researchers have sought to crack the code, no pun intended, of living concrete. Testing everything from hydrogels that expand to 10 times or even 100 times their original size when in contact with moisture, to fungal spores that grow and precipitate calcium carbonate when the minute microcracks first appear. But bioconcrete is only the beginning of self-healing technologies. As futuristic architecture firms start printing plastic and carbon fiber houses, engineers are tackling self-healing plastics that could change the game with economies of scale. Plastics not only hold promise to the real estate here on Earth, it also serves as a handy material in space. NASA engineers have pioneered self-healing plastics that may prove vital in space missions, preventing habitat and ship ruptures in record speed. As a side note, since I'm involved in the oil and gas industry with a client, I have a little different perspective while we shift our needs away from fossil fuels. What many don't realize is that the primary raw resource in plastic, as well as many other items that we manufacture, is crude oil. The implication of self-healing materials are staggering, offering us resilient structures both here on Earth and possibly in space. One breakthrough worth noting involves the magic of graphene. Perhaps among the most significant physical discoveries of the century, graphene is composed of a 2D honeycomb lattice, which is over 200 times stronger than steel, yet remains ultra-thin, just 1 atom thick. While yet to come down in cost, graphene unlocks an unprecedented host of possibilities, from weather-resistant and ultra-strong coating for existing infrastructures to multiplied infrastructural lifespans. Some have suggested graphene's use in the construction of 30-kilometer-tall buildings, and it doesn't end there. As biomaterials and novel polymers will soon allow future infrastructure to heal itself on its own, nanoparticles and micromaterials are ushering in a new era of super-strong and self-charging buildings. Revolutionizing structural flexibility, carbon nanotubes are already dramatically increasing the strength-to-weight ratio of skyscrapers. Imagine if we could engineer buildings that could charge themselves, or better yet, produce energy for entire cities, seamlessly feeding energy to the grid. And that will take us to our next area of focus, self-powering cities. As exponential technologies across energy and waters burst onto the scene, self-charging cities are becoming today's testing ground for a slew of what is referred to as green infrastructure pilots, promising a future of self-sufficient societies. In line with new materials, one hot pursuit surrounds the creation and commercialization of solar-powered generating windows. In the past few years, several research teams have pioneered silicone nanoparticles that capture everyday light flowing through the windows. Little solar cells on the edges of the windows then harvest this energy for ready use. Scientists at Michigan State, for instance, have developed novel solar concentrators capable of being layered over any window. These solar concentrators leverage non-visible wavelengths of light, near infrared and ultraviolet, pushing them to the solar cells embedded at the edge of each window panel. Rendered entirely invisible, such solar cells could create energy on almost any sun-facing surface, from electronic gadgets to glass patio doors to reflective skyscrapers. Beyond self-charging windows, countless city future pilots have staked ambitious goals for solar panel farms and renewable energy targets. One example is Dubai's Strategic Plan 2021, for instance. Touting a multi-decade Dubai clean energy strategy, the city of Dubai aims to gradually derive 75% of its energy from clean sources by 2050. With plans to launch the largest single solar site project on the planet by 2030, boasting a projected capacity of 5,000 megawatts, the city of Dubai Future aims to derive 25% of its energy needs from solar powered over the next decade. In the city, Strategic Plan 2021, Dubai aims to 3D print 25% of its buildings, make 25% of its transit automated and driverless, install hundreds of artificial trees, all leveraging solar power and providing the city with free Wi-Fi, info mapping screenings, and charging ports. It also plans on integrating passenger drones capable of carrying individuals to public transit systems, and lastly, drive forward countless designs from underwater biodesalination plants to smart meters and grids. Dubai considers itself a global leader in green technology and renewable energy, and wants to be a gleaming example of any environmental context that can give rise to thriving and self-sufficient eco-powerhouses. Dubai is not alone, and others will quickly follow suit. Leading the pack of China's 500 smart city pilots, Zhejiang's New Era, which is near Beijing, aims to become a thriving economy zone powered by 100% clean electricity. At the end of 2019, 100 U.S. cities are committed or on their way to the same goal. This may reshape some of the energy industries around the world. Those raw resources, such as crude oil, are actually used to manufacture most of these new technologies. The final smart city area that we want to consider today is cities as living organisms. As new materials forge ahead to create flexible and self-healing structure, green infrastructure technologies are exploding into a competitive marketplace. Aided by its plummeting costs, future cities will soon surround us with self-charging buildings, what's considered green city ecostructures, and urban residences that generate far more than they consume. As 5G communication networks, proliferating sensors, and centralized AI hubs monitor and analyze every aspect of our urban environments, cities are fast becoming intelligent organisms, capable of seeing and responding to our data in real time. While these technologies are exciting and may be a bit scary for some, something that is more important is realizing that God is granting us this ability, and He knows both our every action and our every thought. It is only God who we praise and thank for what He is completing through us. As we are told in Proverbs chapter 15, verse 3, "The Lord is watching everywhere, keeping His eye on both the evil and the good." And that's a wrap for today's question. Join us again next Futuristic Friday for another interesting area on our Ask Gramps episode. Our next trek will be Meditation Monday, where we will help you to reflect on what is most important in life. So encourage your friends and family to join us and to come along with us on Monday for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy. If you'd like to listen to any of the past 1,422 daily treks or read the associated journals, they are all available at wisdom-trek.com. And I encourage you to subscribe to Wisdom Trek on your favorite podcast player so that each day will be downloaded to you automatically. And thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, I am your friend, as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. And as we take this trek of life, together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to Keep moving forward. Enjoy your journey and create a great day every day. See you on Monday.